Hello, and welcome to another episode of Untraditionally Traditional, a podcast with me, Brittany Duncan, a millennial homemaker. Join me each week as I share all the things I've learned that make keeping your home, garden, and life running smoothly, all while working. If you are enjoying the podcast, please be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcasting app so you get the episodes downloaded straight to you every Monday. Now, on to today's episode. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Untraditionally Traditional, a millennial homemaker. This is your host, Brittany Duncan, and although it's February, and you are probably sick of conversations surrounding wellness, and because that is a hot topic for January, I don't blame you, but I want to keep the conversation going and tell you about what I've decided to do to make 2025 what I'm calling my year of wellness. But before I get into that, let me tell you about the three favorite things that I have this week. 1, I found a clean ingredient self-tanner. It's called Beauty by Earth, and although they make a bunch of products, I've been using the tanning lotion in the shade medium to dark, and I love it. It goes on just like lotion. It doesn't smell like other tanning lotions I've used in the past that have chemicals in them. It just smells like coconut. It dries quickly. It works well for a natural glow. Personally, I feel better about my body and skin when I'm tanned, so finding a clean alternative that still gives me a tan in the cloudy winter weather months has been amazing. So that's thing number 1. Thing number 2 is hemp seeds. We're going to talk about seeds and things in a bit, but whole hemp seeds deserve their own special shout out. They are the easiest addition to your meal and pack a nutritional punch. In just 3 tablespoons, there is nearly 10 grams of protein, 210 milligrams of magnesium, 306 milligrams of potassium, which is about 85% of that found in a banana. Couldn't believe it. They have all 10 essential amino acids, and they are a healthy fat source. I don't love the phrase superfood, but these little guys that are essentially flavorless, they're an easy addition to any meal, anytime. So I don't know. I think they are a superfood, even though I hate that buzzword. All right. 3 is a recent tip for vacuuming that I've started doing that has elevated the experience. We have a Dyson stick vacuum, and I love it, but it's been with Johnson and I our whole marriage, and girlfriend is a little tired. Not her power after getting her a new battery. She is functioning good as new, but in the smell. If you've used this vacuum before, you know that it blows air basically right in your face while you're vacuuming because of where you're holding it and where the air vent is. And it just comes out smelling kind of stale and gross. It's dust and dirt that is in that area, and then it's fanning out the air. So I replace the air filter every now and again, but it suddenly dawned on me that I could put a few drops of essential oil on that filter, and maybe that would make vacuuming smell better. Well, it totally worked. Instead of smelling dust when I vacuum now, I have a nice mix of doTERRA balance oil and lemon oil, and it's pretty great. So if you find that when you're vacuuming that you're like, this doesn't smell great, try putting a couple drops of essential oil on your filter and it might smell better. Okay, back to wellness. Another buzzword that I don't love because it downplays the importance of it. But I've decided that 2025 is going to be a year of wellness for me, hopefully the first of many to come, but it is my focus of the year, to live as well as I can. I would say that 2024 was my strongest year physically, but as we will get into here, wellness goes so much deeper than how our bodies physically perform, the physical output that we have. I was reading this article recently from Northwestern about the elements of wellness, and they break wellness down into 8 categories, or elements as they refer to them. And the 8 they highlight are physical, emotional, social, intellectual, environmental, spiritual, vocational, and financial. When evaluating what I want to get out of my year and what areas I want to focus my time, energy, on money on to get there, I removed vocational and financial. I'm not saying that you should do the same or that this was the right move, but it felt right for me because I feel like Johnson and I have had financial wellness for some time now. It's something we worked really hard on at the beginning of our marriage and that we continue to work hard on. We have a system and it's more on like autopilot for us now. That's how I feel about it. So therefore, it's not an area that I feel like I need to pour a bunch of energy into this year. Same with vocational, which is wellness related to your work. I've talked about this before, but I often feel that my generation was fed the narrative that we should find a job we love so we don't feel stressed in our work environment. I don't love my job. I'll say it again. I don't love my job. I'll tell you what I do love. I love God. I love my husband. I love my family. I love my friends. There are days I love what I do, but I don't love my job. This is one of these moments where the English language fails us because we are meant to use the same word to describe our feelings towards our spouse as we are our employer, and it just doesn't jive for me. I like my job. I enjoy my job. I'm satisfied, and I often feel joy from my work, but I don't love it. And while that makes me sound like I'm saying my job could be better, I'm not. I think we put unrealistic expectations on our jobs, and those unrealistic expectations give them equal power to parts of our lives that are far superior to what we do for work. So that's why I am leaving vocation off of my wellness focus in 2025. So what's left? Physical, emotional, social, intellectual, environmental, and spiritual. My focus will not be evenly divided between these categories, particularly because I think that some are more important than others. I'll share which categories are superior for me, but also that whatever categories you choose as superior for you is okay. Wellness is an incredibly personal journey, and it's unique to each individual in question. So now's probably a great time for my disclaimer that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a psychologist or therapist. I do not have formal university level training in anything that I'm going to discuss today. I am simply sharing my personal experience and plan for myself. It's not meant to be a blueprint for you to follow, but rather a source of inspiration for you to create your own blueprint. Think about what wellness looks like for you and what you might want to do this year. Do what feels right for you. With that said, a large focus on mine for expanding my wellness is physical, and that covers what my body can do, how it operates, and how I'm fueling it. I've always been pretty active, but this year I have set defined goals for exercise and diet, and they are high bars. At least for me, they feel really high, and that's okay. It's another thing that I don't love that we do in society is we're often told, like, pick goals that are achievable. No, I am picking bars that are really high, knowing that I may or probably will fail, but I'm not really failing because I shot as high as I could and I came out better for it. So my bar physically is to attend F45, which I've been going to for over a year now, 4 times per week. I love F45. If you live in Boise, I cannot recommend the downtown location enough. I was never a workout class kind of person, but joining F45 was the best thing that I've done for my body. My class makeup is 2 cardio sessions and 2 strength sessions. Sometimes I go more than 4 times a week, but my goal is to go at least 4 times a week. For those of you that are not familiar with F45, it is HIIT workouts, but then they're really strength-based as well. So, and their trainers are amazing. If you are not comfortable using weights or workout equipment, that was me when I first started going. I had primarily done like bar classes and yoga and played sports. So I was not a gym kind of girl. So I had not used equipment. They really help you. You get comfortable with the equipment and confident. They teach you how to lift well and properly and build up. Can't say enough about it. In addition to F45, I have joined a yoga studio, and my goal is to attend yoga classes 3 to 4 times per week. And basically why I am doing that, it's a new development for 2025. I was on a girls' weekend with my mom and grandmother at this incredible wellness center called Miraval, and I took a yoga class while I was there. And I was very humbled to realize that while I feel like I'm the strongest I have ever been, my balance and flexibility were lacking. The yoga felt really good. It was a new way of using my body. It felt refreshing. It was something different. So I've gone all in. I found a yoga studio here in Boise. It is called North End Yoga, and they have all sorts of classes from more like restorative yoga to warm yoga, hot yoga. They do hot Pilates, all sorts of different levels. So I find that adding in these yoga classes is balancing out what I don't gain from F45. F45 is giving me what your yoga alone couldn't provide, and vice versa. So that's the physical exercise part of what I am doing in 2025. Another big change is diet. Again, I've always been food conscious, liking to know where my food comes from and what's in it. But my goal for 2025 is to eat 98% real food. The other 2% allows for chemical ingredients, sugar, and seed oils. Again, if I fail and I end up eating, 90% real food and 10% ingredients that are harmful to my health, I will still win because 90% of what I put into my body was good. But most importantly, everything I put into my body was intentional. I'm not saying I won't eat a burger out or enjoy a milkshake. Heck, today is Super Bowl Sunday. You bet your behind that I will be eating a Philly cheesesteak. Go Birds. But I'm going to do so with intention. The types of real food I am eating have also shifted a little bit because I have made my diet focus on being protein rich and fiber focused. I took a class at Miraval all about gut health, and to my surprise, it wasn't take this prebiotic, take this probiotic, drink water and avoid sugar. The conversation was heavily focused on fiber and fermented foods and the variety of real foods that we consume. I mentioned hemp seeds earlier, but some other small changes that I've made. My carbs are coming from whole grains and non-starchy vegetables as much as possible. Think sweet potato, delicata squash, brown rice, farro, whole wheat pasta. Protein rich. This isn't a huge change because Johnson and I have ate a protein focused diet for a while now, but I want to have at least 25 grams of protein per meal. That's what I'm aiming for. My snacks are also pretty protein focused. And then fiber. Vegetables, fruits, beans, legumes, seeds like hemp, ground flax, and chia. Every meal has a fiber-focused element. Fermented foods. I've started incorporating a lot more fermented foods into our diets. Greek yogurt was always a staple for us because it's an easy protein-rich snack, but I've also started using wild brine products in our meals. The apple sauerkraut is great in salads. The kimchi is awesome. Love it on eggs or anything Asian inspired. And then the salsa is really good. I haven't tried the salsa verde one. I did see that they had that, but the other is like a red salsa, and it is so good. So super excited to have found wild brine and to have those as like easy additions to get fermented foods into our diet. Beverage wise, yes, I'm still trying to drink more water, blah, blah, blah. But I'm also enjoying herbal teas throughout the day and one golden milk latte on most days. I make the golden milk by heating up coconut milk, a teaspoon of maple syrup, and then whisking in 1 teaspoon of ground turmeric and half a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. It's delicious. Turmeric has a whole bunch of health benefits. And then if I'm having it right after a workout, which typically I am, because I tend to work out in the morning. I have my coffee before I go to my workout, and then I come home and I have this golden milk latte. I will put 1 scoop of collagen protein powder in there, and then that's an easy way to get an extra 20 grams of protein in that feels like a little treat. So love the golden milk latte. So in terms of like physical and nutritional, that pretty much sums it up. I will say that I know this is going to fluctuate with my cycle and what phase I'm in, but I haven't quite narrowed in on that yet. Honestly, I am new to focusing on the phases of my cycle, which if you were unfamiliar are menstruation, follicular, ovulation, and luteal. I'm taking a class through our Boise Learns community education program that is focused on hormonal changes and living well with them. And so I really hope that it dives into this more. But in short, I know to expect that on my period, I will not be working out as hard as I am during my follicular phase, which is when most women have the highest energy levels. But I'll still be moving my body. I might be doing forms of yoga that are a little more gentle and then maybe choosing lighter weights at F45, but I still plan on attending. I'm going to continue to eat well, but tweaking my diet to be higher in iron and omega-3 fatty acids and anti-inflammatory foods during that phase. So again, that's going to kind of be a bit of trial and error, and I encourage you to do that with your own body and what you're physically doing, but then what you're eating is to figure out at different times in the month, maybe it doesn't serve you as well, and why is that? And try tweaking it, and don't just settle for, I feel sluggish and gross. Maybe we could do a few tweaks, and there's something that can make you feel better during that time. So that's something I'm going to be working on as a kind of side note. Let's talk about emotional wellness. Commonly referred to as mental health, although I really like the term that Northwestern uses, emotional wellness. Again, it's less buzzwordy. I don't know what it is with me and buzzwords, but I don't love them. Again, can be very dependent upon your cycle. If you are a woman listening, it's important to recognize your emotional state at each phase and then give yourself what makes you feel good in that phase. Some constants that help me are sharing how I'm feeling with those I'm close to, regardless of how it sounds. We live in a society that shelters emotion and promotes bottling it up unless your feelings are positive. And I think this is harmful to our overall emotional well-being. So I'm working on being more vocal about how I'm feeling with my spouse. Some days that looks like, hey, hun, I'm in a down mood. I don't know why. It's not because of you. I just wanted to let you know where I'm at. Open communication about where you are mentally is huge. Identifying it for yourself, but then also letting those people that you're around how you're feeling and normalizing that. Something else I do for my emotional health, and I know that this isn't a luxury that everybody else has, but I take a nap almost daily. Typically, it's for about 30 minutes, and it really helps me to feel better and avoid energy depletion. Last thing I'll say about emotional wellness is that I am focusing on not feeling embarrassed. I have found that the more vocal I am with my spouse, family, peers, coworkers about who I really am, what I really like, how I really feel, what I really care about, the better I feel. And strangely, the more accepted I feel. People may not always understand or agree or share my feelings, but putting them out in the world and doing so unapologetically feels really great. I'll say it's a muscle to be exercised. As a people pleaser, chameleon of sorts, really uncomfortable for me at first, but this is something that I've been working on, and the more I do it, the more it feels right, and the better I feel from doing it. So I recommend that to anyone that struggles with feeling like they can't really be themselves. Social wellness refers to how we focus on our relationships with others. I talked about this a bit on my episode for calendars and planners and how we use them, but I have intentionally selected a planner where I can see my month at a glance. I check in weekly to look at how the monthly spread is looking, how my division of time looks, who I'm spending time with, who I'd like to spend time with. As an adult, you are probably part of many communities. You likely have several different friend groups, family, community groups that you try and divide your time between. I have found this calendar approach to dividing my free time between those groups while still maintaining time for myself, that's really important, has been really helpful for my social wellness. Again, learning about your cycle and when you feel like being social or when having alone time is really important. When you have the energy to volunteer versus when you don't. That kind of thing. Again, still paying attention to all that. That's kind of new for me. But in general, I am trying to divide my time monthly between serving different social buckets to round out my social wellness. Next, I want to talk about spiritual wellness. This is going to look different for everybody based on your faith, what you believe in, how you spend time, and focus on deepening your connection to what you believe in. Every year, I do a study of sorts where I read the Bible in a year, although it typically takes me about a year and a half to complete. My goal is to do Bible study daily to serve my spiritual wellness. But there are times that I don't have, it typically takes me about 30 minutes to do the daily study. And there's times that I just don't have that 30-minute block. So rather than skipping it for the day, my goal is just to read a verse or one chapter on those days. Still pick up my Bible and get in there. Not every day has to be an immersive study, but for me, focusing on my faith and connection with God, even if it's just for 5 minutes, is important. I also have a daily reader called Streams in the Desert that I enjoy reading at night in bed. It references the Bible, but it is not like reading the Bible. And I do think that reading the word in its true form is important. So that's kind of like a supplemental content. Other supplemental contents might be listening to faith-based music or a faith-based podcast. I really like the Daily Grace podcast. They're also Who Makes the Bible Study that I'm doing right now, and I've enjoyed it a lot. I'm about 3/4 of the way through from last year, and it's been great, so highly recommend that. The other thing I do daily, which kind of blends spiritual and environmental wellness, is to walk Sage. Sage is our golden retriever for any new listeners, and when I walk Sage, I do so without headphones on. I take in my surroundings the whole time, and every day I am enamored with the beauty of what I see and what God has created. And different things jump out at me at different times. I limit my distractions so that I can pick up on whatever comes across my path. Sometimes it's the leaves or the ice on the snow, or just seeing her so happy. A sunset, a sunrise, changes of temperature. Walking, it serves physical, emotional, spiritual, and environmental wellness for me, and that's huge. So I'm trying to walk her at least every day. And if you don't have a dog, still get out and walk, even if it's just a brief walk after meals. There's lots of studies out there about the benefits of that on your health and lowering, lowering your insulin spikes and that kind of thing. So definitely walking is huge, but it might serve other areas of wellness outside of physical wellness that you may not have thought about. Next up is intellectual wellness, and I wanted to be sure I really understood this category as I planned on how to serve it. By definition, intellectual wellness refers to the state of being engaged in stimulating and challenging mental activities that promote cognitive growth, creativity, and critical thinking. I like to think working on mastering my hobbies is a way to serve my intellectual wellness. Staying curious and researching why something works the way it does, figuring out how to replicate it in your life. For me, planning my garden is an intellectual stimulating activity. There's math, planning, and creativity involved. I don't want it to feel like I'm having to study calculus in my spare time to work on my intellectual wellness. I don't think that is what it is. So find a way to serve it that actually interests you. That's what I've been doing. Who knows if that's right? Maybe it's saying, no, maybe you should be doing calculus, but that does not bring me joy. So that is not in my 2025 wellness plan. Last element that I'm going to talk about, and it's one that I didn't see listed, and I think it's important, and again, not talked enough. The fact that it wasn't listed just reiterated for me that I want to talk about it, and that's sexual wellness. I feel it's important to focus on not only having a healthy, but a fulfilling sexual life. If you are married, I cannot recommend making this a priority for your marriage enough. I'll share that Johnson and I have seen a sex therapist, and it did wonders for our marriage and sex life. I want to break through the misnomer that if you see a sex therapist, there is something wrong with your relationship or that your sex life is subpar. Absolutely not. Think of it like a tune-up or an oil change for your car. Things are running well, but a tune-up every 10,000 miles makes the vehicle run better. Like talking about how I'm feeling honestly as a way to serve my emotional wellness, I am working on becoming more comfortable talking about my sexual wellness as a way to serve it. It is so strange to me that we are taught from a young age not to talk about religion, finances, or sex. Politics falls in that list too. All very important things. And I totally disagree with this school of thought. Of course, there's a time and a place for these things to be talked about. And in a matter deeper than the sex education talk that many of you receive that went a little something like the Mean Girls Coach Carr speech, if you have sex, you will get pregnant and die. Okay, that's basically what I got. And for lack of a better term, I think it's BS. We need to talk about this thing. As a woman, I feel like I was 100% undereducated on hormones, reproductive health, and, sexual wellness. And I've had to figure it out on my own, how my body works as an adult. And I think that's ridiculous. I believe part of sexual wellness is honoring yourself as a sexual being, figuring out what you like, what your partner likes, and how you can grow together sexually. If you're not having these conversations, experimenting, and focusing on sexual wellness, you may be underserving yourself and your marriage. Like all other forms of wellness we talked about today, in my opinion, it should be given focus. I know a lot of people cheat on their spouses for a whole slew of reasons, but I do wonder if we talked about sex more, really heard each other out, dropped the judgment and fear, and focused on growing sexually, both personally and as a partner, if we would see less infidelity. I don't know. It's just a thought. This was a bit of a tangent, but there you have it. My 2025 wellness goals, shooting high so that even if I fail, I don't really fail. I still have progress to be proud of, doing the most I can do, the best I can do, everything I can do to serve this amazing mind, body, and spirit that God has given me. Wellness, physical, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, environmental, social, and sexual is everything. Categories and your focus will ebb and flow, but being intentional about serving each category. That's what we're doing here. Okay, this was a long one, so I'll end it here. I swear I could do a whole episode on each of these wellness categories, but I hope this overview episode has been helpful and has got your wheels turning about how you can live well in 2025 and beyond. Until next week, happy homemaking, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of Untraditionally Traditional. If you enjoy the podcast, please share it with those special people who would love it too, and write a review. For more tips and photos of my home and garden, follow Untraditionally Traditional Pod on Instagram. Until next week, let's continue to make our homes places of joy and service to ourselves and those we share them with.